So we'll talk more about some more muscles today. Let me, yes.
I left my notebook at home, which had my coloring pages.
Oh, okay. Just turn them in tomorrow. That's fine. Okay. Let's see if this works this time. Okay, so we talked about this before, but we're going to go through a few muscles again that we might have already briefly mentioned. Occipitalis muscle in the back. So it attaches to the aponeurosis, which goes across the scalp, to the frontalis, and it elevates your forehead. So you would use the frontalis along with the occipitalis to cause this expression where you elevate your forehead. And so it pulls the scalp posteriorly up. And so if you furrow your brow, if you raise your eyebrows, if you're going to not use just your frontalis, but also the scalp with the aponeurosis and the occipitalis together.
By the way, there were 6 people in the bathroom, so
Oh, wow, that's not allowed.
quite a
That's against the COVID policy.
Yeah, oops. Well, I was waiting and sitting outside, and then people just kept going in the bathroom. And I was like, you know what? This I haven't had enough. So this one.
Having a party in there, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where the real ones
Well, I guess so.
Miss Holly, so like if you somehow like cut your head like right here, would you not be able to raise your eyebrows?
Well, you can still raise your eyebrows because you still have a muscle that circles your eye, but you won't be able to furrow your brow very well. You still do have your frontalis, and so you could still have some movement, but you wouldn't have as pronounced of a movement as you have with your occipitalis. So it'd just be less pronounced. Trapezius, which you can see goes up your neck, down to your mid-spine, along your shoulder blades. And so that's for elevation of your shoulders and depression. So this raises and lowers your shoulders. It works along with your arms. So it raises, retracts, and rotates the scapula, which is your shoulder blade. Latissimus dorsi. So latissimus means the widest or the largest, and dorsi means, we know what dorsi means, right? I talked about this before, back. So it means the largest muscle on your back. It's your biggest back muscle. And you can see it goes almost your entire back. It attaches to your arms. Yes, every time when I show one of these ones, it's just showing you that one muscle.
Do you have a laptop with a DVD player?
I do.
Could we borrow it?
Okay. Here we go.
Thank
I don't know if
you.
it is or not. but it's
Is there a
just-
password?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, every time I show you this picture, it's showing you just that one muscle. Like this right here, showing you just the trapezius, and this is showing you just latissimus dorsi. So for this one, you can see it attaches to your humerus, and so one of its jobs would be, like when you swim, for example, you flap your arms. It's abducting, so it's pulling your arms. So which way is it? So abduction,
away from your
and so that's away, right? Ab means away, and then adduct means towards, and so it's pulling your arms away from your back. And so also, breathing generally is from your diaphragm. If you breathe really heavily, then you also use this muscle back here, or if you sneeze or cough, this muscle can also be used. There was one time when I coughed really, really hard and I tore this part of my back. It was really painful. Yeah. So that can happen sometimes when you overextend, you cough. That's why it's important when you to be careful when you cough, because you can certainly do damage to yourself if you cough too hard.
You just have to like kind of stay still for a while.
Yeah, it took a long time for it to heal. It just was very painful. Like, especially anytime I coughed, it was especially painful, but even just doing other things, it hurt really bad. Like it was a really bad pain. Like it felt like how you'd imagine it feel. I mean, basically it tore off from the spine, so you could feel it. So yeah, just really don't recommend.
Not to the kid.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Another muscle you can see along here wraps up from your skull, along your neck, down to the iliac region along here. And that's the erector spinae. So the erector spinae, so it extends and laterally flexes the spine. And so if you're straightening up your back, for example, you'd be using these muscles to do that. Or if you are curled up into a ball, you use these muscles to do that as well. So it extends and flexes your spine. So if you're, rolling up, or if you're sitting outward, these muscles which attach to your spine do that. Quadratus lumborum, which you can see goes along the ribs to the top part of the ilium. And there's two of them on either side. Flexes the spine laterally, extends the spine. So it works in the same way as the erector spinae. They work together. They're synergists for each other. They do the same function.
Can they ever work on their own, or are they always?
They certainly can work on their own it just depends on or if you get tired. So muscles, sometimes they have redundancy built into them, where when some parts of the muscles get tired, they stop working, other parts can step in. And that's why your tongue never really gets tired. You can talk for hours and really you're not going to feel strain of your tongue. Because your muscles in the tongue they all do the same thing. And so some muscles can tire and stop working, others can then come in and start working.
Yeah.
Same thing with your back. You have muscles in your back that also do the same thing. So when some stop working, others can start. And that's why we have this. So you're going to see lots of muscles in the body that have the same job to do. And that's what you'd have. So if some muscles are worn out, or if they're just hurt, then others can do the same thing. So that's why you're going to see that. But if you make a slight movement, you might only work these ones back here compared to working the whole spine. But generally, all muscles, you really can't just work one at a time. You're going to work a lot. Even a very, very simple movement, you're going to work a lot of muscles at the same time. And we're only showing some of the muscles. I mean, there's about 700 muscles in your body. And so we're not going to go through all of them. That's just way too many. And everybody's unique. The number of muscles you have is unique for you because the amount of muscles, the shape of your muscles, where they're located is unique from person to person. And your bones too, the way your bones are structured is also unique for you. So while the number of bones is set for person to person, the number of muscles is not set from person to person. And your genes have a lot to do with how many muscles you have, the shape of the muscles, how big they are, and where they're located. Y'all have these ones down? Okay. And again, just the name and the action is all you need to know. Again, the origin, we won't talk about the origin or the insertion. Moving on to the triceps. That one we already talked about too, but that's the muscle in the back part of your humerus. And you can see right here the trapezius along here up to your neck. What muscle is this right here that goes deltoid? Good. Goes along your shoulder and wraps around. And then what about this muscle down here?
Is that the back one?
Mhm.
Huge?
Something.
Right.
Latissimus.
Latissimus dorsi, good. So, and you can see there's muscles below it. We haven't talked about these ones yet, but we're talking mostly the superficial ones, the ones that are in the very, very top layer. But you have several layers of muscles. We're just really dealing with only a few of them, not all the layers. So for extension of elbow, as we talked about before, biceps flexes, and then triceps extends and does just the opposite of biceps. Flexor carpi radialis. And so you can see it attaches from the humerus down to your palm. And you can see, I don't know if it's a better picture or not, but it goes to your palm along the thumb side. And that's why it's called radialis, because it attaches to your radial side. Remember, your radius goes to your thumb side. And so the attachment point is on the thumb side or on the radial side of your forearm. Its job is to flex the wrist, abduct the hand. And so flexing the wrist, going side to side, and then abducting the hand, bring it away from your arm. So you have adduction, abduction. So abduction, bringing it away, adduction, bringing it towards your arm. And so you can see why it would do that. It pulls it in. Flexor carpi ulnar, I can never pronounce this one, ulnaris is on the ulna side. And so they're both on the palm side. They just attach on different sides. So the flexor carpi radialis would be on the thumb side. And then the ulna side, you can see from the humerus down to the pinky side. And so they both attach to the palm along the carpal area. They both have the same function. But the difference is that for the flexor carpi ulnaris, it adducts the hand. So it does the opposite of what radialis does as far as the hand movement goes. So it brings the hand towards the arm. But they both flex the wrist. So they both are important for wrist movement back and forth. Flexor digitorum superficialis. So this muscle, it looks similar to what we've learned with the other ones, but it attaches to your fingers. So it goes all the way through your palm up to your fingertips. And that flexes the wrist, just like the other muscles we talked about do, but they also flex the fingers. So flexing the fingers, bringing them inward. Then the other side, so this was the palm side. This flexes your fingers. On the other side, you have a muscle just the opposite, extends your fingers. The extensor carpi radialis extends the fingers and counteracts the movement of the flexor digitorum superficialis. So the names tell you what they do. Extensor digitorum does the same thing as flexor carpi radialis as far as extending your fingers, but it's now attached to every single finger. You can see right here that its extension goes all the way to your fingertips. So all these muscles, as you've probably seen a pattern in these, they all attach to the humerus and wrap around your forearm to the wrist area. So they all have similar functions. They work together to provide a wide range of movements. You ever write these ones down?
Not Michael.
Not Michael?
Actually, I do. Look at this.
Maybe if I remember college.
Okay, the last muscle group today, gluteus maximus. That one extends the hip in certain situations, but its primary purpose is just to walk upright. That's its primary job, is to keep you upright and to keep you walking. You can see they give shots sometimes in that muscle group up there. We'll talk more about different injection sites later, but that's a common injection site too in that area of the body. Gluteus medius, and so you can see it attaches up to your femur into the ilium. And so that abducts the thigh and steadies the pelvis while walking. And then below that, the hamstrings. So those are on the back side of your thigh. And they flex the knee, extend the hip. So when you bend your leg, when you bend your knee, the hamstrings are used. So the muscles that make up the hamstrings, biceps femoris, semitendinosus, I always forget to pronounce this one, sorry. Semimembranosus. These make up the hamstrings. You can see it right here. And those are on the back side of the thigh. And then on, I don't know why that one shouldn't be there. That's here. Here we go. That's the right pictures. Gastrocnemius, the calf muscle. Oh, yeah.
Once you have some-
So the hamstrings, you should know these names. That you don't have to memorize, that these are the hamstrings, but these ones we will be labeling them on the worksheet. So just know that they're on the upper part of the thigh, on the back part.
I have the worst.
What do you mean by worst hamstrings?
When you're super tight. and they-
Oh,
Even when I'm working, like just working, it'll just get super tight. and
That it's really painful. Hamstrings. I mean, yeah, they really hurt.
I killed the season last year for me.
So I. Shut up. You're not the reason.
Gastrocnemius is your calf muscle. And so on the back part of your lower leg, it wraps around your heel. The calcaneus is your heel bone. And it plantar flexes your foot. So moves your foot outward. So you have the Achilles tendon, which attaches to your calf. The gastrocnemius is the calf muscle. Achilles tendon, you can see, goes about halfway up your lower leg and wraps around the calcaneal bone around your heel. And then below that, the soleus, it's in green right here. And so the gastrocnemius would be above it, but it just took it off. So you can see that below that, the muscle. So the soleus does a very similar insertion point. It also attaches to the heel bone, just like the gastrocnemius does. It has the same function. It also plantar flexes the foot. So this shows you the both together. So they are both in the same area and attached to the same point. Gastrocnemius on the outside, soleus below that. Question, Patrick? Okay. So you can see the movement that it does, plantar flexion of the foot outward like that. And you can see why it would do that. It pulls this part up to make the foot go outward. Okay, we'll stop here for notes today and work on some worksheets. So the worksheets that you have that I gave you last week, you should see the lower limb worksheets. And I think there's a back worksheet, at least one of them. There might be 2 lower limb worksheets and then a back worksheet to do. Let me turn the lights back on so you can see the worksheets.
We've never seen that.
Solid.
Yes.
Really figure out. These right here.
Oh,
Is this all the same?
which one, sorry?
Well, first off, these, like, I didn't know what part that was.
Oh,
Right,
yeah.
supposed to call it.
The serous interior. Yeah, just leave it blank.
And
Yeah.
then, so this is all the same though, right?
Yes, that is all the
And
same.
is that just in between the two? Or is that
For age, Linnea alba, it's actually just a straight line.
okay? But
Down.
not sideways?
No, it's a different one.
Michelle. What's up? Are you Michelle? Because I was like,